Would everyone join as we pause to give thanks to our Creator for this opportunity to deliberate the issues that come before this county and for the freedom that we have to vote the will of the citizens for the good of the people. May we never forget the freedom that we have and from whence it comes, our Heavenly Father. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good to see everyone here. All right, we're ready to do the roll call? Oh, we need to turn the... Hold on a minute, folks. We got to get to... it's coming up. Over here it is. That takes just a little bit longer.
It's coming.
Yeah, I can start. It's starting. Okay. Yeah, we're just in time for Mark to get here. Okay. You're right on time, Mark. We're doing a roll call. $18 present, and I did get a call from Mr. Alford, and he will be here. So we'll wait till he gets here to plug him in. Okay. Everyone had a chance to look at the agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Let's vote, please. All right, let's have a count. All right. All right. Has everyone had a chance to review the previous meeting minutes? If so, entertain a motion.
Move we accept.
All right. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? All right. Let's vote, please. All right. Let's have the count, please.
17.
So you're yes. Okay. All right. Ms. Patton? All right. Let Ken, you ready? Okay. Just let him get the one typed in.
Resolution 2012-14, resolution in honor and recognition of Roger Dotson, deceased, for his devotion and dedication to the citizens of Coffee County, Tennessee. Whereas Roger Dotson earned the admiration and respect of the legislative body of Coffee County and every citizen by serving as chairman of the Coffee County Public Building Authority for 8 years. Whereas his tenure of service was characterized by dedication, fairness, and outstanding service to the people of Coffee County. Be it resolved, therefore, that the Coffee County Board of Commissioners hereby commends Mr. Roger Dotson for his outstanding service to Coffee County, Tennessee. Be it further resolved that the family of Mr. Roger Dotson receive a copy of this resolution and that a copy be maintained on file as a permanent record. Passed and so ordered this 12th day of June, 2012.
I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Let's vote, please. All right, let's have a count. 18, okay. Ms. Patton will give him time to type in the next heading. Once he clears it, we'll let people see the vote here. We're trying to slow down just a little bit so people can see the votes.
Resolution 2012-15, resolution in honor and recognition of Charles Edward Jones, deceased, for his devotion and dedication to the citizens of Coffee County, Tennessee. Whereas Charles Edward Jones earned the admiration and respect of the legislative body of Coffee County and every citizen by serving as the sergeant for the Coffee County Sheriff's Department for 23 years and a member of the Coffee County's Honor Guard Unit. Whereas his tenure of service was characterized by dedication, fairness, and outstanding service to the people of Coffee County. Be it resolved, therefore, that the Coffee County Board of Commissioners hereby commends Mr. Charles Edward Jones for his outstanding service to Coffee County, Tennessee. Be it further resolved that the family of Mr. Charles Edward Jones receive a copy of this resolution and that a copy be maintained on file as permanent record. Passed and so ordered this 12th day of June, 2012.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote, please. All right, let's have the count.
18. Resolution 2012-16, resolution in honor and recognition of Don Northcutt, deceased, for his devotion and dedication to the citizens of Coffee County, Tennessee. Whereas Don Northcutt earned the admiration and respect of the legislative body of Coffee County and every citizen by serving as Coffee County Commissioner for 20 years and a well-known artist, especially the historical drawings of Coffee County and surrounding counties. Mr. Northcutt was also a TSSAA official for 20 years. Whereas his tenure of service was characterized by dedication, fairness, and outstanding service to the people of Coffee County. Be it resolved, therefore, that the Coffee County Board of Commissioners hereby commends Mr. Don Northcutt for his outstanding service to Coffee County, Tennessee. Be it further resolved that the family of Mr. Don Northcutt receive a copy of this resolution and that a copy be maintained on file as a permanent record. Passed and so ordered this 12th day of June, 2012.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
thank you. And a second. Any discussion? Let's vote, please. right, let's have the count, please. All right, Ms. Patton. Number 8.
Notaries: Penny L. Barnes, Beverly J. Capps, Cecilia Crick, Charla M. Hopkins Graves, Amy E. Jackson, Rolando Nunez, Devin Allen Teasier, Sharon K. Waller, Blake Wybert, Robert T. Carter, Gay S. Phelps, Barbara Johnson, Christy D. Jones, and Melissa Wilson.
Okay. Entertain a motion. Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? If not, let's vote, please. Okay, I think, well, I don't think he's county president. Is Virgil ready? 19, okay.
Okay, next is Sanitation Board.
No, library.
Library Board, B. Patricia Freeze and Jerry Sperling are going to be put back on the Library Board.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion? If not, let's vote.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned Deanna Lawson.
Yes, and
We were just looking at that.
yeah, that's what we was looking at.
The letter that you have doesn't mention.
Yeah, so that's why the letter that we got with the library board.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, I thought it was the Deanna Lawson too, but according to the letter,
So the Library Board wants Ms. Sperling.
yes.
Okay.
She doesn't have.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's vote, please. All right, let's have the count, please. Oh, wait, no one? Okay. Okay, Mark. Is it not working? There we go. All right, now let's have the count. Okay.
Okay, sanitation board. And that will be
Okay.
Morris.
Yes, on the sanitation board?
Yes.
Tim Morris is gonna take Sam Rittenberry's place. If we could get a motion to accept him. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Question being called, let's vote. All right, let's have the count. All right, 17. Okay. Ms. Patton? Okay.
Okay, Water Wastewater Treatment Authority will be John Hall and Lee Duckett.
I'll entertain a motion to accept those two. All right, do we have a second? Question's been called. Let's vote, please. All right, let's have a count. 19 yes, okay.
We don't have anything under other.
Okay. All right, item 9. Reports, county official standing and special committee.
Jail Review Committee.
Mhm. Tim Morris?
Okay. Our budget came back on the jail with Bell Construction at $19,500,000. That's pretty good right now with the way the economy's going. There's a lot of people that are wanting to go to work. The holdup right now is we're under a hold right now because of an Indiana bat. It's an endangered species that could be living a habitat in that area. They've come in and identified 70 trees in the area that we want to build our jail. One option is to move the jail, and that's not an option because we placed that jail where there's no wetlands for expansion and for parking lots. So the option of moving the jail to the front of the lot, there's just no option. We met last night with a consultant. His name is Steve Maloney, and we gave him the okay last night to speak with U.S. Wildlife Resource people and to see if we can mitigate these trees by buying them. We won't be able to do anything with the trees until July the 15th. The bats are born the first week of June. It takes 30 days for them to be able to fly. So he's going to speak with them about doing that. And we worked on that last night, and that seems to be the cheapest option. An option is to have him go out and do a sound study and then put nets up, track the bats, and then we pay the money to cut the trees down again. So I feel like that what we did last night was a pretty good thing to try to save some money. So if anybody else wants to jump in there, it's on the jail too. So.
Yeah, or if any of the other commissioners has any questions.
The potential, AEDC has a large area of them out there, and with that being undisturbed land for several years and the 70 trees, the female bat can live back in behind peeled bark. If there is one bat, we have to do the mitigation. The studies, if we do the sound study and the nets, it's going to cost somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 just to find out if they're there.
Any other questions?
It is.
Yes, ma'am. They're on the endangered species. TWRA is working with it. Right now, if we do mitigate the trees, the money has to go to the state of Kentucky. It does not stay in Tennessee.
It goes for the preservation of that particular bat.
That's for the preservation of the Indiana bat, and it is on the endangered species list.
Is there no visible way to know that they're there? Go out, somebody could inspect the trees or?
Well, the trapping, they would ask you to do the nets, and then if there is a bat there, they have to have radio transmitters put on, and he spends like a week out there tracking these bats. And if they fly to the trees, then we're right back where we are right now.
Okay, once again, how big is the area, where they're suspected of being?
70 trees on the footprint of the jail.
70 trees. Now, couldn't somebody inspect those 70 trees? I mean,
There's some pretty
thought
fine
that sounded
lines that
too
we've
simple.
talked about. Yeah, that you. I don't know where it came from, Ms. Fan. It's just something that this is part of the USDA loan that we're trying to get that would save the county quite a bit of money on the interest rates for the life of the jail. And we talked about last night going away from that, and now that this has been brought up, I mean, we're going to have to deal with this issue one way or the other. You're not going to be able to just leave the USDA loan program and go to bonds and go out there and knock the trees down.
No, I just wondered if it was somebody from USDA that came out there and looked, or how.
I think it's just part of the checklist of going through the low interest loans, that they have procedures and criteria that we have to meet, and that's just one on the checklist.
it just seems like somebody could hand inspect those 70 trees, I mean, in a day or two and find out whether they're there or not. I mean, it just makes too much sense, I guess, but. Jackie, those are dead and dying trees. It'd be easy to identify if you want to go out there.
It has to be done in a 5-hour period at night.
Let's let this finish this. Well, then you'd be disturbing their habitat. You can't do that. Yeah.
This $25,000, is this to buy them off? Is that what you give them? Is this a donation?
Try to use a little
The
different wording.
negotiated
Mr. Morris.
price will be for the removal of the trees after July the 15th. That's the earliest that we're looking at that we can do. And what we're trying to do is not put bail out there in late November. If he can start moving dirt and could do the undercut and get it done before wet season gets in, then he can really start construction on the jail. If we keep getting pushed back, we're going to get pushed through the 90-day lock-in window on the jail bids. We could potentially not start the jail until spring of next year. Well,
yeah.
and it's not been done yet. I mean,
But no,
he's
she's
working
asking.
it. To me, it is. Potentially, if the cost of construction goes up, it could go astronomical. I mean, that's just, if people go back to work and they're not as hungry as they are right now wanting to build our jail, the bid could go up.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, Batman.
Thank you. Ms. Patton?
Anyone have anything else? I don't have anything under other.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's get a motion to accept the committee report and get a second, and let's just go ahead and vote that report in.
So
Got a
moved.
motion, and we got a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Well, let's vote, please. All right, let's have a count. All right. Okay.
All right. We don't have anything under other. And number 10, unfinished business. I don't have anything.
No, okay. All right. Before we start at 11, the attorney wants to say something here.
There are two motions that relate to the zoning resolution that are going to be addressed that we've had a public hearing on earlier this evening. We will allow the attorney or representative of the proponents of the change 5 minutes to speak before the resolutions are offered, and we'll allow an attorney or a representative of the opponents to speak 5 minutes, after which the resolutions will individually be submitted and discussed by the commissioners and voted upon. But although the commissioners will address them individually, during your 5 minutes on each side, go ahead and address both resolutions, because there'll just be one speak time for each side. So if the proponent of the resolution 2012-10 and 2012-11 will come forward.
Are you timing?
Yeah.
Okay. And the attorney is timing.
Good evening. My name is Josh McCreary. I'm an attorney at Cope Hudson, Reed & McCreary in Murfreesboro, and am here on behalf of the applicant. Thank you for letting me speak earlier at the public hearing and speak again now briefly, and I'll restate to some extent what I suggested to you at the public hearing earlier today, and that is that we believe there's some real legal issues for this body to consider as you consider these resolutions, and they are these. The first issue is that there can be some real legal problems with zoning out a use altogether within your county, and what I mean by that is this. We understand, or I understand, under the current zoning resolution that the M2 zone has to be located within the urban growth boundary, and at the same time there is a requirement that those zones be located away from residential developments and community facilities. And what I will submit to you is that the locations within the urban growth boundary where there would not be residential developments or community facilities are fewer and far between, and perhaps non-existent altogether. And if that is true, then there really is no practical way to locate an M2 zone within the urban growth boundary. And there are certain uses that I understand are only permitted within the M2 zone. So all of that being true, then there may be uses that there's really nowhere you can locate them. And there are cases out there that suggest that if you have a use that is otherwise lawful, such as quarrying is the issue that was addressed earlier tonight, it is really not appropriate to create a zoning resolution that in effect, in practice, in application, means there's really nowhere you can put a quarry, because you've zoned out a use that is otherwise a lawful use. So I'd submit to you that the resolution is intended to rectify that situation by simply allowing or removing the requirement that it be located within the urban growth boundary, and that opens the possibility of finding locations that will not be located inappropriately near to residential developments and community facilities. The second issue is similar and relates to the other resolution, and that has to do with the reclamation bond. And really that resolution only has the effect of reducing the amount of the reclamation bond, and in a similar way, if the amount of the bond is so high that in practice an applicant could not meet that bond obligation, then really you've got the same effect by your zoning resolution that you have that I just talked about. That is, there's no real way for an applicant to actually meet your M2 zoning requirements because they can't meet the bond requirements. And so, again, our position is that that would be inappropriate, and so these resolutions simply rectify that. There was some discussion earlier at the public hearing about spot zoning. Keep in mind that you're not rezoning property tonight. This is not an application to rezone a piece of property. For that reason alone, you cannot be engaging in illegal spot zoning, not tonight, because you're not rezoning anything. You're just simply amending your zoning resolution. But it wouldn't be spot zoning anyway, because spot zoning by definition means that you're zoning a piece of property in a way that is not harmonious with the other properties, but also, and this is important, that is not harmonious with your zoning resolution. If this amendment to the zoning resolution is adopted, then obviously subsequent zoning requests or rezoning requests to the M2 zone would be in harmony with your zoning resolution. That's the whole point of the resolutions, is to try to make all the provisions within your resolution harmonious and not conflicting as they are now. A fourth issue to consider is that as a body, and I don't envy your job, I know it's a difficult job, but and there are lots of things to consider and lots of considerations, but what a body like this is not to do is to act arbitrarily or capriciously, and those are good legal words, but as a practical matter, that just means you've got to rely on real information that really is in front of you on issues that really do have to be voted on. And here, if we get into this idea of whether or not a quarry is popular or not, or the applicant's popular or not, or we like the idea of it, or those kinds of issues, or even whether or not it's spot zoning in the future, when spot zoning is not in front of you, I would submit to you that would be acting arbitrarily and capriciously and inappropriate for this body. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McQuarrie. Mr. Cunningham?
I noticed that the first thing Mr. McQuarrie did was mention applicant. As far as last Thursday goes, there's been no application to the Planning Commission for anything. And it appears to me that we're kind of getting the cart before the horse. We're kind of doing some work where the burden of proof should be on them and not on us. They are not zoned out. There is a place for them suggested by state advisors to the Planning Commission. That is in the UGB. They keep talking about the UGB and it being residential. It's not just residential. It's commercial and industrial. Your industrial park is there. That is where the M2's put, simply because you try to put businesses and usages of the same characteristics in the same location. And that's what we have now. If you start moving high impact usages out into the rural areas where there's not as much safety, not as much fire protection, not as good of services, basically most of the time not as good roads, you're starting to amend the growth plan that was voted on by the Proposition 1101 committee, which there's a whole big procedure to amend that growth plan, and it's beyond this commission and it's beyond the Planning Commission. The Wrights knew what this property was going for when they bought it. The county's done them no harm. They've done them no harm at all. If you allow an M2, and this is not just considering rock quarries, there are a lot of other high impact uses of the land that can go into an M2 zone. Yes, the Planning Commission has the ability to suggest, you guys have the ability to pass, but that's kind of up in the air too if you go back to Proposition 1101, because it basically gives the County Planning Commission and the County Commission basically the right only to make low impact type decisions. The whole resolution basically is kind of ill-conceived from a partial definition on down. There's no need to move an M1 or an M2. On the second proposition, or the second resolution, excuse me, I think that they're probably correct in the fact that I did go back into the amendments, and this thing was amended in 2003. However, after talking to some officials today, I've talked to a TDEC guy that deals in reclamation in particular. I have his name and phone number for anyone that would want it after the meeting. The best thing to do would be to send this
resolution back to the Planning Commission. Let them study it and come up with a fair amount of bond that would protect the interests of the citizens of Coffee County. That's what their job is, and you should let them do it. This should never gone around the Planning Commission. Now, when you have a solid majority vote in the Planning Commission, that decision should stand. If it was a close vote, with the chairman maybe voting to break the tie, I could see bringing it before the full commission, but I think that was a mistake. The Planning Commission is there for a reason, and we should use them. But let them write a resolution to take the place of this one, get dollar amounts that experts in the field will give you, and then come back before the commission and vote on it then. And I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
All right, let's let him get. We ready? Ken, we ready? Okay.
Resolution 2012-10, a resolution amending provisions for Article 5, Section 4047 of the zoning resolution 2006-39 as amended in Coffee County, Tennessee.
Okay, if we could get a motion and a second so we can get some discussion. We have a motion. Second, okay. Now, let's get into discussion.
Mr. Chairman, is the chairman of the zoning commission here?
Of the zoning commission or the planning?
I mean, the planning commission.
Is the chairman? I have not seen her here. She is not here. Well, we do have, that's the only member. Are you the only member here with the planning commission? Oh, yeah, Mr. Duckett, Tim Morris, and, okay. Yeah, Mr. Anderson. Okay, so we got 4, but we don't have the chairman here.
I just wondering, has the planning commission actually, has this particular issue come up and been voted on at the planning commission?
Would you like for him to come up to the podium? And then you've got the other 3 members here. I mean, 4 altogether. Come on up. Yeah. That's Mr. Cordell. He spoke earlier. Oh, okay. Commissioner Bricken, just to let you know, he's already spoke once as the planning commissioner.
And your question, sir?
Has this particular issue about reclamation bond come before the planning commission and been acted on, yea or nay?
Yes, we did review this. And we've discussed that many times. As to, go ahead, excuse me.
I was just saying that the issue about that this particular issue probably has some merit. It just might be the dollar amount or the 2,000 acres would be the appropriate amount now. If y'all discussed it, you got any information? Because it does seem like, I understand the current part of the zoning policy has $95,000 an acre.
That is correct.
Which does seem
too high.
Yeah. So, whether we have to sit there, the idea about sending it back to y'all makes some sense, but if y'all already debated it and can't come to some conclusion, maybe it belongs before us.
We have not talked with TDEC officials or whomever as to what the current cost of reclamation would be for a landfill, for whatever. And, perhaps we may need to do that. No doubt the figure is somewhere in between that. But yes, we've discussed it in generalities, but not actually approaching professionals as to what the cost should be today for that. And one concern we did have is whatever you set today, what may it be in 2 years or 5 years, whatever. That's a floating figure nobody can determine. I don't know if that answered your question, but we have not. We've discussed it generally.
Let's assume it passes tonight. Y'all go back and decide that 2,000 is unappropriate. It doesn't mean that y'all couldn't come back before this body and say it needs to be 5,000 acres.
That's true. That's true.
Commissioner West.
No, may I ask a question? The vote here is not to undermine the planning commission. It's to clarify what's going on, and this is not a end around. The question I've got is, some of these rock quarries and other things that have been abandoned that did not have this bond to go with them have been left abandoned, and they are not in the public interest. Is there a way the public, the planning commission, can require that this be reclaimed as it goes? I've forgotten the amount, 123 acres, 50 of it with rock. Don't wait 50 to 100 years, whatever it is, to then reclaim it as you go and have it back, and that would reduce that aggregate amount, and then the cost as they go should not be as much. And we're not telling the planning commission what to do, but is that an alternative that you would have so the aggregate cost would be less?
Yes, so we could review that and, look at something as we go. I know in some of our discussion we were concerned about what if, and you can't cross some bridges before you get to them, but we had some concern as to what if anyone walked off from a business in a situation like this 3 years down the road or 5 years down the road without the property being properly reclaimed, and maybe bond. We're not professionals in that regard, in that we're not geologists, we're not engineers. If you want us to, we can research that in greater detail to determine what could be a proper amount. Whatever. One concern we had was that if they were to walk off or a similar situation happen, what impact would this have on the taxpayers of this county 3, 5, and 10 years down the road, and what are we passing down to our children and our grandchildren? Trying to look out for the interest of the county. But yes, we have not examined that to that point of seeing what professionals say is a valid cost today for this type of reclamation.
Commissioner West.
With that interest.
Commissioner Bricken, back prior to 2006, this very resolution was passed by the zoning board unanimously. It was brought before this body. It was passed, I think, 20-1 or something like that. Somebody abstained. I don't remember exactly, but it was by vast majority. And subsequently after that, the zoning board presented the whole book to be passed, and that part was left out. So what we're doing is going back, trying to put that back in like it should have been in 2006 resolution, or 2006-39 resolution, to put it back where it was. Now, they can change it after that, true. But all this is doing is just going back and trying to put it back like it was originally, and then we go from there.
All right, Commissioner Jones and then Commissioner Bradford.
I guess my question's for Mr. West or Ms. Fan. How did we come to determine the $2,000 figure?
It was originally in the original planning documents that came down from wherever they came from when we first adopted it. Sometime thereafter, and we think Mr. Kip Green, is that my truth so far? Mr. Kip Green changed that to, didn't change it, left out the $2,000, left the $95,000, and made it look like it was $95,000 total, which would be millions and millions and millions of dollars to reclaim. Now, you're not talking about refilling a hole out there. You're talking about reclaiming the areas where the concrete, the piles of gravel, stuff like that, they push all this dirt back, make berms out of it. They go on about their business, and when they're done, they bring it back in, reseed it, and it looks like farmland again.
Okay, Commissioner Bradford.
Okay, this resolution is not brought here in front of us tonight by the Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct. Okay. So the Planning Commission is not bringing this resolution. This resolution is brought to us by two commissioners. Okay. My next question is, currently, is it $95,000 an acre or up to $95,000 an acre?
$95,000 per acre.
Okay. Fine. Okay. All right, the $2,000 is just way, way, way off. Anybody's ever done any kind of construction work or had any kind of work done at all, or deals with dirt or hauling dirt or construction around a house or whatever, it's $2,000. You spend $2,000 completely easy. So that figure alone is way off. I think with listening to Mr. Cordell, and if the Planning Commission is acceptable to this, and if apparently I think what I'm hearing that we're just kind of debating on price tags here of where it needs to be. I think it's just send it back to the Planning Commission, let them review the whole thing, come up with a price tag where it needs to fall. And certainly I do agree with his statement, if you set it at a certain figure like $5,000, well, 10 years from now, that 5,000 is going to be too low. So it's got to be something between a range. But that's something for them to look at and talk to engineers and state people. And earlier, I forgot now which lady it was, it might have been Mrs. Gillette, that talked about a bond. It may not be a way to go. It may be a certificate. I don't remember the exact words she used. A check on the bank or some kind of certificate of deposit, and I don't want to get into that.
I think she said a cashier's check or a line of credit.
Yeah, right. So that's something else, and Mr. Cordell was here, and that's something else they can look into. I'd like to table this and send it back to the Planning Commission.
Are you making that as a motion?
Yes, I am.
Hold on just. Yes.
Tabling it and referring it to committee are two different things. You can table it, and then it's on the table till somebody takes it off the table. Or you can refer it to a committee and specify in the motion a period of time when that committee will report back. But it'll have to be one of those two items.
First of all, you're going to withdraw your motion to table?
I want to withdraw my motion to
Okay.
table. I would like to refer this back to the Planning Commission for study in a time frame of 3 months.
And that is a motion
That
that you
is a
want to
motion.
make. All right, can we get a second?
Mr. Bradford, would you also entertain that you ask them to set a reclamation amount and also the method by which that reclamation amount will be guaranteed to taxpayers of Coffee County?
I will.
Is that all right, David? Okay. All right. Can we get a second on that? On this motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
The Planning Commission meets once a month, and we need 2 or 3 meetings to work on this.
Commissioner Bryan, you was going to say something? Did you have something to say?
Well, I had a few comments, and I would oppose the resolution as it is. And I think Mr. Bradford's motion is a good motion because, we respect the Planning Commission and their 5-2 vote on this. And I respect them for voting unfavorable because this resolution doesn't represent the best interests of taxpayers of Coffee County. Obviously, the 2,000 amount is way too low. I respect the fact that we don't want to be capricious toward the taxpayers of Coffee County, as the attorney said, but also we want to make an amount that's fair to the applicants, that they can meet these requirements. And I think there should be an irrevocable line of credit and a strong guarantee to taxpayers of the county. And we need a fair amount, because we're here to represent the taxpayers and also a private entity, and we want to be fair in both directions.
Ms. Fan, could you, so they can record you? Thank
I
you.
agree that the 2,000 is low. I also agree that the 95,000 is too high. I do agree that there needs to be a span in there. But why, if Mr. Cordell thinks the 95,000 is so high, why was it put in there to begin with? Why was that figure, where did you arrive at that figure? Because it's a span between $2,000 and $95,000. And I think they're both wrong figures.
Commissioner Kelly?
I guess, Bobby, I wouldn't be jumping to the conclusion about irrevocable letters of credit. We're talking about an earth-moving or construction kind of environment, and that's typically handled by performance bonds or other kind of bonding, and you're about ready to make it impossible for anybody to come up with that kind of approach when it's not the norm in the industry. You're asking them to invent something that doesn't exist. I don't know if the $2,000 is a good figure or a bad figure. I do know that part of the country from which I come, they're reclaiming all of the strip mines and bulldozing those in and putting dirt over the top of them and replanting them. They do have other restrictions on it. It has to be done in original prairie grass, so you can't use it for anything else for the rest of its life. But the point being, they're doing that for not much more than $2,000 an acre in reclaiming those. So I don't know what's a good number. I certainly know that we ought to consider getting back to what we approved originally, which is the resolution that's been brought back before us to take us back to what we had on the books before somebody made an error or a change or however it occurred. But it wasn't what was approved by this commission, and that's what ended up being in the book that got approved after we approved the resolutions. I think we ought to go back and pick up the resolution. I think it ought to go to the Planning Commission. I think they ought to change it. I think they ought to have a practice whereby they review their fees on a periodic basis and bring those up for changes, because I'm not interested in figuring out how I'm going to pay for something 25 years from now. I want to know what the cost is now as we start this process, and then how we escalate that over a period of time to give the guy a fair chance at putting back the right amount of money so that we do bring the land back to a good use state.
All right, any other discussion? Does everyone understand the motion?
That after 90 days, it automatically has to come back to this body?
Is that your motion? After 90 days, it comes back to this body? That was the time limit, right? 90 days? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, let's vote, please. Okay, I asked that, and we're already voting, but can you say the Yes, yes, ma'am. To refer it to the Planning Commission. All right. All right, let's have the count, please. Okay, 13 yes. Okay. Okay, Ms. Patton.
Okay, B, Resolution 2012-11, a resolution amending provisions of Articles 5, Section 4047 of the zoning resolution, Resolution 2006-39 as amended of Coffee County, Tennessee.
just a second. It's not, it's Article 4, not 5. And I'll entertain a motion to accept it that way.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Ms. Patton, do you know what we're talking about? I know you do. Okay. All right. I just seen you look up here. It's just too many Pattons here, isn't it? Okay. Let's get into the discussion.
I've got a question I'd like to ask. And,
okay.
If we could have somebody from the Planning Commission come back up. I guess one of the things
Mr. Cordell?
I'm interested in, I'll wait for him to get here and ask it. And I don't know if you were on the commission at the time or not, but I guess I'm interested in when we put in the original language that this is looking to change now, and we said it has to be in an urban growth boundary and away from residential. Do we actually have rock in the county that will meet that? Or is this one of those things that there's no place around that actually meets that requirement?
I have no idea, and I was not there when that language was put in there, whenever.
Okay, I appreciate that. I don't know for certain. I did take a look at the maps and the geological stuff, and it appears to me that we don't have any qualifying land that could serve outside of the grandfathered area and the surrounding area there that, as I understand, that group that's in operating has already acquired that land to continue and will actually over time ring the piece of property we're talking about. So I was just curious if that was actually part of the planning or if it was just a means to get an issue off the table at the time.
Don't know. Sure.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, on this resolution 2012-11, I assume we're on.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of inaccuracies in the resolution, and we got a situation that somewhat parallels the other resolution, is that a number of things in this resolution need to be corrected and looked at and studied to try to deal with this matter that the resolution addresses. And I feel that this resolution likewise should be referred back to the Planning Commission and let them study and review this resolution and what the purpose and intent of this resolution is. And obviously, like I said, there's a lot of discrepancies in this and a lot of things that are inaccurate in the resolution, so I don't think we'd be prudent in adopting this resolution in the format it is here, because it could be implying things well beyond what we might intend. So I think this resolution likewise needs to be studied much further by the Planning Commission.
Okay, do you want to have a time limit on that, Mr. Bryan?
Well, once again, Planning Commission generally meets once a month. I don't know what, with the other task that's been given to them, how long they feel they might need. We have, what, 4 or 5 members here, or of the 7?
Yes, we do. We have 4. Would any of the Planning Commission members like to comment on that, about the time frame?
I don't really know how much time it would take, to work both of these. We're going to be dealing with the other one first. But I think the Planning Commission needs adequate time to study this, and because it's going to, any change that we make in the zoning is going to impact us countywide, and we have to take that into consideration. And if we were to pass this the way it is, it'll impact us countywide, not just the area that they're wanting to impact right now. So that's something that needs considerable study, in my opinion. But I would want some time there. I don't know what would be an adequate time, but probably more than the 3 months that we're working on the other issue. We could work both of them currently, but I think the planning commission is not a full-time job. We're there, and I don't believe we even get paid for it, for that matter, but that's beside the point. But anyway, we'll be working with experts in the field, I hope, and trying to come to some conclusion, because this will impact the whole zoning ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Cordell. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. I didn't see you. You slid right up there.
I'm Austin Anderson, and I'd like to clarify that at the time of I served as chairman of the 1101 committee, at the time this resolution was passed, and it definitely wasn't in there that the right quarry or something that's similar had to be within an urban growth boundary. We didn't approve that, and we did not approve it had to be $95,000 because we looked that good. And I'm not sure what the number was, but it was nothing like $95,000, and how it got changed, I don't know. Within the time when Ron Cooper went out for a while there, we didn't have anybody. The girl in the office mainly ran the, and I think maybe that might have been the time when that was recopied. When that was recopied, somehow or another, that resolution that had been earlier was put back in when we definitely did not approve a resolution that says something such as a rock quarry has to be within an urban growth area, which is just outrageous. I mean, that don't even that makes us look dumb. That makes everybody look dumb to say that something of that sort has to go within an urban growth boundary, yet can't go into a dense populated area. We're talking up both sides of our mouth, and I just think that I voted to not leave it like it was, to clean it up when we had our last meeting. But I got outvoted. But anyway, I feel like that either we or the Fulton County Commission owes it to the public of Coffee County to get something like that straightened up. Something that looks reasonable. If anybody's coming into Coffee County to put for establishment, and they look at that and see that kind of resolution, they said, no, we wouldn't go to Coffee County. They got a resolution that prohibits us from going in there. Thank you for the...
Thank you. Mr. Cordell, do you mind coming to the podium just a minute? Question was involved the 4 planning commission people that's here. Do you have in mind a time frame?
Back to what Mr. Duckett said with meeting, we could well have some special call meetings. We may well have to do that because we hate to prolong this issue forever. It's just not fair to the Wright family or anyone else. But I'm in agreement with having some special meetings to the extent we need to. I would suggest maybe tacking on another month and maybe 90 days on the first resolution and maybe 4 months on the second.
Okay.
Just a thought. No, one additional month. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we do that, please?
Commissioner Patton, did you... Okay, Commissioner Patton and then Commissioner Kelly.
Well, I do not see how that we could say no to the Wright family when Rogers Group is grandfathered in, and nobody seems to be worried about how much if they are going to have to pay per acre, and they're right across the fence. I'm not talking about 3 or 4 miles down the road. They're across the fence. So that just seems, it just doesn't seem right to me.
Okay. Commissioner Kelly, then back to Commissioner Fan.
Now, I first second what Myra said. One of my concerns is at the county level, at some point, the way the resolution sets today, we're going to have to change the resolution to ever get another quarry except the one that's been grandfathered in, because there's no land that I find that meets that criteria that would permit someone to come in and start a quarry. And I think that's, an error that was made. I think Mr. Anderson related to that. That was not the intent at the time. I guess, Bobby, I got a question for you. You talked about a lot of inaccuracies and errors and stuff. I've read through this, and I guess I don't see those things, so I'd like for you to point them out to me.
Well, one thing in the whereas section, I guess, 4 down, the definition on UGB is, far broader than that. I don't have all the document here in front of me to read it off, but we have a person here who was a member of the coordinating committee, and he could address this. And of course, Mr. Cordell, he probably didn't expect to be up here addressing some of these things neither. But Steve Cunningham, I believe, is still here, and he was a member of the 1101 coordinating committee. Is he still here?
Yes. Mr. Cunningham, do you mind coming forward? Well, we got the sheriff here.
And Mr. Kelly, is that am I answering your question? You're trying to? Maybe I'm not. Question?
Ashton.
I think it was really Bobby's question. He was asking on the urban growth boundary what the final definition was as opposed to...
According to Proposition 1101, the urban growth boundary, and it's also in it's also in our zoning resolution. The urban growth boundary is, I'm having a hard time reading this. It is a reasonably compact area that contains the corporate limits of a municipality and the adjoining territory where high-density commercial, industrial, and residential growth is expected. If you were to read this resolution and you listen to the other side, they would have you believe that it's mostly residential. It's not mostly residential. You live in Tullahoma, you know that there are different zones for industrial and commercial use. If I could go so far as to answer your other question, there's rock everywhere if you go deep enough. And they are doing that in a lot of places because there's not as much reclamation to be had after that. So when you start talking about digging in the side of a mountain, there is more reclamation. Well, you mentioned strip mining a while ago. You know what I'm talking about. So. Any other questions?
No. Well, if you don't mind, just for a minute, just to make sure the other. Okay, we got Ms. Fan, Commissioner Alford, then Commissioner West. Did you have something else?
I would just like to say that I've lived in Hillsborough for 36 years. That is not as long as a lot of you all have lived there. I would never do anything to hurt the scenery or anything in Hillsborough. I have been back there where they think about putting in that rock quarry. And I find that I have all trust that it's going to be really nice. But what bothers me is, and I talked to the lawyer about this, our county lawyer, is that when the other lawyer got up here and said that there's supposed to be public hearings on these changes in the zoning and stuff. I never got a letter on any public hearings on any zoning changes since I've been a commissioner, except for this one that was on the one tonight. So what I am curious about is if there have been public hearings on these changes that were supposed to have been had that weren't had, and if they weren't had and were supposed to have hearings, then some of these changes aren't even legal to begin with.
Okay. Commissioner Alford? Then Commissioner
Gentleman
West.
answered my question a while ago.
Okay. Commissioner West?
This motion, or this resolution, was tabled 3 years ago by this planning committee. They didn't do anything with it then. This is not something new that's come up. This has been in here for 6, 7, 8, 9 years. How long did it take them to do a study on it? The meetings I went to, they just said, well, it's a bad thing, we're going to vote against it. That's it.
Any other comments?
Okay.
There's not anything to vote on.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, Ms. Patton, did you? No, she just said it's not being. No.
His call for question will be on the resolution.
Huh?
I said his call for question will be on the resolution.
I was going to speak if she, I don't want to get settled.
Hold on a minute, Commissioner Bryan.
Virgil called question.
Won't step in front.
Commissioner Bryan, Virgil Alford, the commissioner has called question on the resolution.
Can we not ask further questions, or you may see trying to cut off the discussion?
Do you want to withdraw your? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cunningham, could he, where's he at? Could you step back up just a second?
Well, he did, but Virgil said we weren't moving fast enough here.
Mr. Cunningham, is there an M2 zone in the industrial park?
I think there is. I think there's an M2 zone in the industrial park. And remember, nobody on the present planning commission, or any of the past planning commissions for that matter, has a lot to do with writing this resolution. There are several of you that were some of you that sat on the coordinating the Proposition 1101 committee. You guys signed that to pass it. And, you know, what it appears right now that we're kind of going beyond it. But those zones were set up by mostly by the state advisors to the Planning Commission. And they were approved by the Planning Commission, and this commission passed the resolution. That's all I know. So it's not anything anybody's written in there, and it's not a surprise to anybody. Yeah.
Where's the M2 in Industrial Park?
I don't know. He asked me if I thought there was one. I said I thought there was one. I know it could be one in there. I don't know.
There is one M2 on that map, and that is where Rogers Group sits right now.
And that is a mistake.
Mistake or not, it was voted on by this body to pass.
True, but it was never designated an M2. It was grandfathered in, which means it was what he was a rock crusher then when the resolution was passed.
But it's an M2. I mean, there is an M2 there.
There is an M2.
And all we're asking for is just to move it over a little bit into the property lines and make it another M2.
That's not my call. And I'm not sure it doesn't have to go back to the Proposition 1101 committee.
Commissioner Alford?
I think we owe it to this gentleman, since we're doing all these conversations back and forth between the parties and you representing the other. I think we owe it to him to let him handle it.
Okay.
And that was going to be my request. Put back a minute to respond. We called him back now twice, and I think we owe it.
The reason we called him back, Commissioner, is because the commission asked to. Okay. Well.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
You ready for us?
Yes.
If I could let our engineer address these questions, I think he'll be better equipped for that.
Jim Patterson with St. John Engineering, and I just want to clarify a few statements that were just made. If you will look at your current zoning map, the zoning map that this board has approved, the entire UGB of Manchester and Tullahoma is zoned RS1. The industrial parks are not included in the UGB. There is no M2 zoning within those industrial parks. The only M2 zone on your current zoning map is the Rogers Group quarry. And whether or not that should have been or was intended to have been put as an M2 zone made no difference when this body adopted that map. That is the official zoning map of Coffee County, and it does contain one M2 zone on that map, and that is the Rogers Group quarry. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Fancy.
First thing is, I'll lose my train of thought. At the caucus, we were presented with an FY 2013 budget update. And I know that they're going to try to cut the budget even more. But as of right now, if we had to go with the budget here, if I'm not mistaken, according to this, there would need to be a 20 1/4 cent property tax increase for the citizens of this county. If we don't get some industry in our county, we cannot keep paying more property taxes, and nobody wants the wheel tax, so the property tax is it. The city may get in industry, but the county is not getting in very much industry. And with all of our interstate exits and everything. And I think that also the workman's comp and property liability has gone up $217,000 this year that the county is going to have to pay. And what are we going to do? Keep taxing the property owners? Understand the property owners that live out there not wanting to stay here, but then they don't pay property tax increases either. And I'm not voting for property tax increases. People don't have the money. So I don't know where we're going to get this money if we don't let industry come in here. Yes, it's fine to supervise it, make sure it's right. Okay, when we sold the county rock quarry and sold it at auction to Rogers Group, there was not one thing said to them about the reclamation of that old rock quarry when they finished with it. Us as a county sold it. And now it sits there, it's dangerous, it's not being used, and there's no reclamation on it. Nobody's made any effort in our county to see that Rogers Group cleans it up. Okay, they're grandfathered in. Who's going to clean up them when they sell, if they do, and move? And we're worried about reclamation for the Wrights, who have other places, and if you go there, there is neat and landscaped as more houses in our county. So I think somewhere along the line, we're losing something.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Bryan.
As previously, this motion or this resolution has such far-reaching consequences to the people of Coffee County. I mean, obviously by a lot of the input we've heard tonight, those of you, the 10 or 11 commissioners who attended the public hearing, there was a lot of good information and input. And this resolution has a lot of issues related to it, and there's a lot of issues being presented in this discussion and deliberation we've had. And this has some definitive far-reaching consequences and precedents for everybody in Coffee County and all of Coffee County. And I just feel by making the motion, which I will, to refer it to the Planning Commission, I think they need to look at these different issues that have been brought up on both sides and look at these different issues, try to get the expert advice, the legal advice, the engineering advice, whatever, and get all the information they can to try to make the best recommendation they can to this commission. Because I think it's more important we try to make the right decision, and not necessarily one way or another, but try to make the right decision in regard to a resolution that tries to identify a lot of these issues or recognize a lot of these issues and doesn't bring further complication. And I think trying to clean up some of the planning and zoning document, is a good thing and needs to be done. And I think that's what we need to do.
Okay, what is your motion?
I'd like to refer this to the Planning Commission to further study this and the issues related to it, bring back a recommendation to this commission, and I believe Mr. Duckett mentioned maybe 4 months to look at the other resolution and this one also.
Okay.
And that's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay.
Well, if this passes and goes back, I hope that this 4 months doesn't turn into 2 years like it has before, because it's a stall tactic when it does that, and it's not right and it's not fair to people who are wanting to bring business into our county.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just mentioning that, this is definitely not a stall tactic in any shape, form, or fashion. The thing is, this is an issue that's affecting both sides of this. It's not only the Wrights and their group and company, but it's those citizens, taxpayers out there in this community. I mean, they've had to endure this for numerous years. And I don't know, 6, 7, whatever this has been going on, probably a lot of people are sort of tired of the situation, but it's so significant and important to all these different people impacted by it. So this, is in no way stalling. 4 months to try to make a decision that's going to affect many future generations in this county, that is time well spent, and in no way, because the people in the community on the other side, not just the private entities trying to come in here and do this, but all these people be impacted in this community, they've had to deal with this, and they don't want to keep having to deal with it neither. So, that can go either direction, and this is intended to give time to get a good decision for the taxpayers of this county, and I think, they deserve that, to be studied and these issues addressed and dealt with, and get good, solid information before a decision is made.
All right, Commissioner Alford?
Ms. Brown, I know that you, in your infinite wisdom, that you, when you're referring to taxpayers, I know that you understand also that Mr. Wright is a taxpayer of Coffee County, and we certainly want to give that family the same privilege and obligation, everything that we do, every taxpayer in Coffee County. So let's always remember when we're using the terminology as taxpayers, any property owner in Coffee County is a taxpayer.
Yes. Ms. Fan,
I'm not undermining the 4 months. I want you to understand that. I'm not undermining that. But they've had this for 2 to 2.5 years and studied it and studied it. And I would think in 2.5 years or 2 years, they should have studied a lot.
Commissioner Fan, you had a question earlier. The 4 months, it's in the motion, so they have to bring it back in 4 months.
Well, no, that's fine. I don't have a problem.
But I mean, though, your question earlier was, could they, but the motion is, the way it's stated, in 4 months, they have to bring it back to this commission.
I know, but what I'm saying to Bobby is I'm not undermining the 4 months.
Okay.
That's not the problem. The problem is they've had it for 2 years off and on. And I thought they were studying it all that time. So what happened? No offense, because I knew I'm not undermining anything. It's just that after a while, enough is enough. How long do you study something? You only go to college for 4 or 5 years.
Some people. Some go a little longer, Ms. Fan.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate Ms. Fan's comments, and really, to put it in perspective, the Planning Commission, they really hadn't been specifically studying this resolution and necessarily the issues that's been raised in the public hearing and what's been raised on the floor here tonight. So this is getting them focused on this particular resolution and the issues associated with it here. So it's not like, their deliberations and what they've been doing over the past 2 years. It hadn't been focused on this, so they hadn't been, spending 2 years studying this. Basically, they're dealing with things as, it's brought to them, and things to be corrected, things to be amended. And like I said, I think we need to give adequate time to do the right thing and make the right decision.
Thank you. Ms. Fan.
I would just like to say that this is a resolution from 2006-39. This is 2012. I count 6 years.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
Will you withdraw your question there? Okay, Commissioner.
Well,
You got to be quick when you're dealing with Mr. Alford there.
Well, yeah, I understand that part. And I'm not very quick most of the time. Takes me a while to think things through. I guess I have the same concern that Mrs. Fan has. This thing's been beat around, and I'm going to start back with the previous resolution that we had. There's no reason we couldn't have passed it as it was, and the Planning Commission could have taken the 3 months and set the new rates to change them to what they needed to be. Instead, we, messed around and let an opportunity to fix a problem go by. Again, Bobby may not think it's stalling, but that's all I've ever seen on this issue since I've been here, and I can't call it any other way. It's delaying tactics, and it's trying to get around dealing with the issues. I don't know what the reason is, but it certainly affects business in this community, because you can't get a fair shake. If you're going to be a businessman in this county, you ought to look someplace else.
Mr. Mayor, would you entertain a little levity? I couldn't help but think when Commissioner Bryan was saying we want to make the right decision, was that with an R or a W?
Do we have any other discussion? You might ought to go in the stand-up business there. You should be, Commissioner. Question's been called now. Okay. Oh, all right. Commissioner Brown, do you mind repeating your motion? Is that what you're talking about?
I think the motion needs to come from the table.
Okay. Teresa, you have to read the... She's going to try to... give her the mic.
Refer back to the planning commission for 4 months to work out the issues pertaining
To the planning resolution.
Clarification on the motion. 4 months from today or 4 additional months inclusion of the other resolution. I think
The two together were 4 months. Wait.
Mr. Bryan would include that into the motion so that it's a clear process of what you're asking us as a commission to do.
Okay. What are you wanting Commissioner Bryan to do, Commissioner?
Teresa has presented it. I just want clarification. Are we voting on 4 months from today on this resolution? Is that what I understand the resolution, Bobby?
4 months from today will be fine,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Farrell, Commissioner Bricken. He's not got to say anything.
The only thing I was going to ask Bobby, because I've looked at the calendar, because 4 months is unclear, I would like to see these motions set to come back before the full commission at a commission date, which would be November, at the November commission, which would be the 4 months plus a few extra days. But that way we at least know what agenda it will get on.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. November, regular scheduled November commission meeting.
Who seconded that? Who seconded this motion? Do you okay with that?
Ms. Fan seconded it, I think.
No. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's going to be the November meeting that it gets brought back? Is it? Okay.
That's correct.
We don't have a meeting in October. Okay.
If it's voted.
If it's, yes. Okay. Any other discussion? Let's vote, please. Commissioner Bell, is yours giving you a problem? Okay, good. All right. Mark Kelly? Well, he got it confirming. Now you got it locked. That's good. Is that how you do it out the base to fix it? Just pound it a little bit? All right. All right, let's have the count, please.
12 yes.
Okay. All right.
I have a question for the attorney.
Okay.
Mr. Bob.
Yeah.
The resolution 2006-39 was voted on by this body and passed. If that was done illegally, would that book be, would we be without a zoning book right now, any laws?
That presupposes that it was done illegally. If it was done illegally, there might have to be a process to determine that. But if it was done illegally, then I would say that you would be under the law that was there before that, totally. And where that would put us, I'm not sure, because I'm not familiar with where it was before. And the question is what it would take to constitute illegally.
Well, according to the zoning laws and our laws, we have to have a public hearing for each one of these changes to the planning commission.
When there's an amendment, there has to be, and I'm not sure, I wasn't here at that time. I don't know what they had. I understand there was when I looked into the issue, when you raised it originally, I went back and looked at when this ordinance passed, and it looked like it was brought up in several commissioners' meetings, and it was deferred, and it looked like it'd been, and I don't know, they could have had a public hearing in conjunction with those commissioners' meetings, because I think it came up at a special meeting one time, and then it was deferred and then voted on in another. So that would have to all be addressed.
Roxanne has the
advertisement.
The advertisements from the newspapers from that year, and nothing was mentioned of this resolution.
Well, I asked for October to November. I mean August to November. So that was as far back as they could go. And Glenn is still searching in the planning office to see if there was anything, an advertisement, and I tried to get a bill where we paid the bill, and we don't have the bill back that far.
So with that in mind, and they determined that advertisement was not posted, would this have been a legal vote?
You talking about when it was passed back then? I can't answer with that limited information. I'd have to look at the overall thing, and then it might be a court decision.
Okay, let's get on to our next item. Ms. Patton, you ready to go back to work?
I guess. 11C, Coffee County Government Substance Abuse Policy Statement.
Okay, if we could get a motion and a second, we'll get into discussion, and Commissioner Bricken's going to speak to some of this. Can we get a motion and a second? Okay, do we have a second? Thank you. Now let's get into discussion. Commissioner Bricken, could you bring us up to speed?
Well,
Mr. Mayor, can we give everyone a minute to clear out so we can...
Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's give everybody a chance here. Hey, you can't leave.
He's coming back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to have to take, Commissioner Bricken, let's take just a minute or two. He had to run to the restroom. Got one commissioner that need to go to the restroom.
well, Robin's heard this at Budget and Finance, so he's not going to be hearing anything.
All right, go ahead.
So I don't think Robin would mind, actually.
Hold on just a second. Are you still recording, ma'am? Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Bricken.
Okay, before you is the substance abuse policy that's formatted out of the state's standard abuse policy for other counties. And this came up out of Budget and Finance Committee, which really was kind of an odd place for it to come out of, but it came out because our insurance risk folks came to explain the $225,000 increase in our workers' comp, and which revealed that they had been trying to put good risk management practices into our county, and one was the adoption of this substance abuse policy, which surprised me that the county didn't already have a substance abuse policy. And the background of this, and we probably don't need to go into total detail, but it looks like it's just gotten bounced around by, I think, the salary review, and just could never get out of committee. So Budget and Finance felt strongly enough that we needed to get this before this full body and hopefully get it adopted, because a county of our size with 230-something employees needs to have a substance abuse policy enacted. It certainly is for the safety of our employees, it's for the future cost reduction of our county, and it's just good business practices in today's environment.
Okay. Commissioner Duckett?
Yes, the Solid Waste and the Road Commission already have a drug abuse policy, and we would like to remain under the policy that we have right now, because we're working with the state on that, and we would like for this not to cover those two areas, because they're already covered, and we don't need to be having two policies that they have to adhere to. the one we've got is adequate, and I would like to make a motion if necessary that they be excluded from this because they're already covered.
Okay. The parliamentarian wants to speak here just for a minute to make sure everything's clear before we get a second, just so that if it happens. All right. Explain, Mr. Pettigo, what...
I show that they have a second.
Yeah, but I'm talking about on this motion.
Okay. On what Mr. Duckett is wanting to do, this would be a motion to amend. And you would say something to the fact that you want to amend this motion, adding that those two departments be excluded from this policy. That's what you're wanting to do. Okay, that's your
Okay, that is a motion, and we do have a second. Well, can we just back up and make...
So how many departments are you? Is that 3?
Hold on just a second. Mary Anna's got something to say.
Randy, the rural solid waste are under TDOT because they have CDLs.
Okay.
So is the highway,
Uh-huh.
but not the ambulance. They don't have CDLs, so that's different. No, we do not. We have a short statement in our personnel manual right now, but we're not following the guidelines of the Tennessee Drug-Free Workplace.
What she's saying, Commissioner, is that Rennie is under TDOT, and who's the other one?
Highway.
And the highway's under TDOT, but you're not. Okay.
Is that only for Rennie's drivers?
That's what the difference is.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes, now, that'll be just my employees with holding CDLs. It's got the CDLs. Now, my convenience center attendants and anybody else without the CDLs, I would want them to come under this.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Kelly, what was you saying?
Rennie just answered
Okay.
that. I do have
All right.
another question, though, concerning this as we're looking at amendments and things to it. I guess my question is, I didn't see anything in here that would require drug testing for injuries and accidents. So it's only on a random basis as opposed to, there are I see some provisions for some purpose and cause, but it's on the person's behavior and those things, as opposed to, you mentioned the Tennessee Drug-Free Workplace. One of their initiatives has been to have drug testing for anyone involved in a workers' comp or an injury accident at work or in a vehicle kind of accident regardless. So I'd like to
That should be
see
in
if
there.
that's covered.
Is it in
I
here?
agree. Post-accident testing should be in there. And if it's
Okay,
not,
I
we do
missed
need
it
to add
if
that.
it's there.
I'm going to look through it. I thought it was.
Okay, we need to take a minute. Mariana's going to look. And Mark, if you will too. If you'll look too.
Yeah. No. We don't have a second on this yet. We have a second on the motion, we don't have a second on the minute.
What now? Did we find it? Okay, let Commissioner Kelly look at it and let Mariana look at it and the attorney look at it.
Okay, Russ, that is for a lost work time injury as opposed to E1 injuries, which is normally covered under the Drug-Free Workplace Act.
Commissioner, can you hold your mic so we can hear what you're...
It says the county may send employees for substance abuse tests if they are involved in an on-the-job accident where personal injury or damage to county property occurs. Now again, I guess that's my concern there may be the term may, certainly, versus will send employees.
Well, can we do that with the, if we make a motion and add that will in there on that change, will that work? Once we
Well,
get a motion.
first thing you've got to clear up is Mr. Duckett's amendment. We don't
Yeah,
have
let's do
a
that
second
first.
for that, and I don't know if we've ever defined who all is excluded.
Now I'm going to ask Mr. Duckett, if I can, because I think what Rennie's saying, and I don't want to get this thing so diluted. Now, I can understand if a county employee already has a CDL license, that they would not need to necessarily come under here, but I'm not certain that it should be a real bother to be under here anyway. Now, but I think we're going to be dangerous by excluding departments there. If we want to say county employees without CDL licenses, I'll be comfortable with that, but I'm uncomfortable going beyond that.
Well, we don't have a motion, a motion on the amendment yet anyway.
We don't have a second.
Yeah, we don't have a second.
We're ready.
So we could back it out and let the commissioner. All right. Yes. So
I'll make my amendment.
You're going to make a motion?
Motion to amend to include all employees that aren't covered by CDL. Who are those will be under a drug plan.
Everybody that does not have CDLs.
Right.
So really, your amendment is excluding
CDLs.
People that hold CDLs. That's
Right. They're already covered under a plan, and if we
Okay.
if
So
we put them under another, and it's going to be double jeopardy. So
Okay, so you're making a motion to exclude employees with CDLs.
Right.
Okay. That is the motion. Now can we get a second? Thank you. How about discussion? Okay, we're just voting on the amendment right now. Okay, who said? Okay, Myra. Okay, are we getting ready to vote, Ken? Are we ready? Okay, let's vote on the amendment. There we go. All right, let's have the count, please. 17 yes. Now, let's get back to the substance abuse policy. We got a motion and a second already, so we need to get back into discussion. All right, we're back to discussion.
A question was raised about changing will or may to shall. It could be, but I think with may, I think it gives you the option of looking at circumstance. You could have an injury that whereby there was no reason to test somebody, and if you put a shall in there and then don't do it, then somebody else gets tested and they'll be saying, well, you didn't do it on that one. So I'd feel more comfortable with the may because it allows some discretion without just putting an absolute that might be.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't believe that's I don't believe that. I think it should be will. I mean, it definitely don't need to be may because that leaves too much open-ended stuff.
Oh, okay, the attorney was you trying to finish up?
Well, I it's your vote on the thing. It's your call if it be a will. But I think there's say we had an explosion that was and an employee got hurt, and you're going to make him take a drug test. You might not want to do it in some circumstances. If you got a shall, then you got to do it. And you can put. Where the injury involved. Well, if you change the may to will, it says an employer will send the employees for a substance abuse test if they're involved in an on-job accident. you know, that's,
I think
they had
that's
no
an important thing
contribution to it
to
at all,
do.
it just happened.
Yeah, Bob, I think that's important, that regardless of the cause, accidents, you know, we're trying to change a whole culture and lifestyle, and we're trying to drive down workers' comp and get it under control.
Okay.
And that's a standard in business. I mean, it's a will.
Of course, this language was submitted by the workers' comp people.
I understand, but
Okay, to do this, though, we're going to have to get a motion to amend this.
I make a
one word.
motion to
Amend the
change-
word
Amend the word to will.
from what, though? From what to will?
May.
From may to will.
Okay, we just need that in there. And you second it. Okay, does everybody understand we're voting on the amendment? The question been called, let's vote. All right, Ken, you're all right? We didn't get ahead of you, did we? Okay. All right, we got everybody locked in? All right, let's have the count, please. 19, yes. All right, so now we're actually voting on the substance abuse policy, and we got a motion in a second. Yeah, we'll open it back up for discussion, but that's where we're at again. We're back on the substance abuse policy, the policy itself now. Question's been called. Let's vote, please. All right, let's have the count. Okay. All right. Next item.
Next item, budget amendments.
All right. You going to read them all, Mariana?
Well, the first two are for the school board.
Okay, you go.
One's the general purpose school fund and the cafeteria fund. Neither require any monies from the unassigned fund balance, so unless anybody has any questions about them, it was approved by Budget and Finance. Frederica is here.
Okay, we're going to vote on both amendments.
For the schools.
Yeah, for the school. Can we get a motion here?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? And like she said, it has been passed by the Budget and Finance. Okay, if not, let's vote, please. Waiting on Commissioner Bale. All right. Let's have the count, please. Oh, wait, we still like Commissioner Duckett. Oh, he had to leave? Oh, okay. All right, Commissioner Duckett had to leave, Ken, so how are we going to, can you, okay. Okay, so now we can get the, hang on just a minute here, let's let him. Oh, wait, nothing. Okay. Now, do they have to vote again? Go ahead and vote again, since we had to take Commissioner Duckett off. Let's see, have we got everybody locked in? Okay, let's have the count, please. 18, yes, okay. All right, Mariana.
Okay. Okay, then I have, I think, three. I have three to read. First one is 116-2012-10, increase litter program, $1,700. Increase in sanitation and management, other charges, $1,700. No change in fund balance. Second one is 101-2012-11, increase library committee fund, $12,761. Increase, this is the Manchester community account, $19,558. Increase prior year tax collections, $20,583. Increase payment in lieu of taxes, $7,600. Increase bank excise fees, $34,326. Increase data entry fees, circuit court, $28,000. Increase trustee excess fees, $25,000. Increase $1,000 agriculture grant. Increase communications grant, $4,775. Increase Homeland Security grant, $30,230. Other federal through state, this is a voting grant for voting machines, $10,500. Increase insurance recovery, $9,500. The increased line items, expenditures, circuit court jury fees, $4,000. Other charges, $28,000. Sheriff's Department increased gasoline, $40,000. Agriculture extension farmers grant, $1,000. Veterans assistance increase, $910 and $69 for Social Security. General Government 510 Trustees Commission increased $25,000. General Government increased Conference Center expense, $19,430. Election Commission voting machine purchase, $10,500. Civil Defense Communications grant increased $4,775. Homeland Security grant $30,230. Tullahoma Library committed account increased librarians $1,377. Social Security $102. State retirement $51. Unemployment $5. Maintenance agreements $7,076. Library books $622. Other supplies and materials $2,000. Office equipment $1,528. Manchester Library committed account increased maintenance agreements $2,058. Other contracted services $2,500. Audiovisuals $2,500. Library books $3,200. Other supplies and materials $1,300, and office equipment $8,000. The jail increased water and sewer costs $7,600. There is no increase to or decrease in the fund balance. The last one's the Highway Department. It's 131, 2012, 12. Decrease in expenditures, highway and bridge maintenance, crushed stone, $50,000. Decreased capital outlay, highway equipment, $43,796. Decreased expenditures, motor vehicles, $38,381. Increased investment income, $400. Increased sale of recycled materials, $2,900. Decrease in mineral severance tax, $40,000, and a increase in unassigned fund balance of $95,477. That leaves a fund balance for this fiscal year of $313,834.
Point of information.
That's it.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
For Mary Ann, could you state just for the record, as far as so the public can know, what the fund balance was before the amendments, the unappropriated fund balance prior to the.
Which one? In which fund?
Well, from where you start from the beginning, what it was before you started any of the amendments.
For all these funds, there's three of them. Okay. 116 rural solid waste, beginning $984,191. There was no change. General fund, $739,316. There was no change. Highway Department, Fund 131, beginning $218,357, ending $313,834.
And these did go through Budget and Finance?
Yes, they were approved on June the 4th.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept these. All right, do we have a second? Thank you. Any discussion?
I've got a question, sir.
Okay.
When I look at the library, the couple of items for it, we started off with what, about $900,000 in the library budget?
Okay, this is their committed account. It's not their operating account. This is money, but yes, you're right. You had 899,900,000.
Okay, but that did include these funds also, did it not, in that total?
No.
That was just their operating account?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay. Any other discussion? Let's vote, please. All right, let's have the count. Okay. Who made the motion to accept the amendments? Mr. West. Who seconded it? Ms. Fan. Okay. All right. Are we good? Ready to go to the next item?
Okay, E, FY 2013 budget updates.
Commissioner Ricken, you're on board.
All right. Everyone in your packet had this quarter-inch handout that is the current proposed 2012-13 budget, and all the departments have presented their budgets. Pretty much their budgets as presented are included in this. So there's not been any real hammering, I'm going to use that term, refinement, whatever you might want to say, in any department's budget at this point. And so if these budgets were to hold up, you can see we're facing a 20-cent tax increase, which is about a 9% increase over last year's. We certainly hope over the next couple of weeks we're going to be able to bring this down. Whether we can bring it down a lot is going to be part of the debate. So we wanted to get this budget in front of y'all to get y'all's feedback. Would y'all see for any departments, for expenditure reductions, revenue increases? So please let anybody on budget and finance, let the mayor's office, let Mariana's office know if you would like for us on budget and finance to particularly focus in on any particular area. I think the sentiment for everyone would be no tax increase there. The 7 cents for the jail, and that was put in out of the property tax increase the year before last, I guess. It has been one of those discussed items, and we have used that money. We've kind of it's been some money shuffled around. Now with the commitment to the jail, we have to pull that money out of the general fund dollars and dedicate it to the debt retirement dollars. So that 7 cents is, I'm going to say, surfacing up again. So there's some real hurdles that we're facing in order to get this budget down. And this is just a summary. I mean, we've talked about the debt, the 7 cents for the jail. We've got this $75,000 Lakewood issue. Certainly, at this workers' comp increase of $217,000 was certainly not expected, and certainly very disturbing at to the county. And the schools certainly have put together an operating no increase budget from the property tax standpoint, but they have been unable to overcome the funding needs for 3 new buses and the fuel costs. That might be tweaked a little bit if anybody can certainly guesstimate what fuel might hold for the next 12 months. We're getting a little bit of break in the last few weeks, but is that going to hold? Who knows? So anyway, that's what we're facing. It's not a pretty picture. And I wish I had some real optimistic forecast here.
Any questions? Well, if not, let's go to the next item. Ms. Patton? Not Commissioner Patton, but...
Resolution 2012-17, resolution supporting extended service years for school buses.
Okay. You heard the resolution. We need a motion and a second here.
Motion.
All right, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Fan, second. Okay. Let's get into discussion here.
This is the from the state mandating that the buses have a limited use of 17 years or 200,000 miles. At the same time, that was based on a safety issue on data that are not proven. The resolution is to ask the legislature to extend the life of the buses to 20 years, 300,000 miles for diesel and 500,000 miles for propane. Representative Matheny is for this and will support it. He would like more resolutions of this nature from the school boards, from other commissions, but this is a starting point. The legislature, in one hand, says, other citizens say no more taxes, and yet something is mandated that has a price tag on it, and it is totally unnecessary. Surrounding states do not have this requirement. So recommend that we pursue this and encourage other counties to do the same, those that are affected by school buses.
Commissioner Morris?
And I'd like to ask that this commission talk to other counties or email other county mayors and get other county commissions on board with us, because it is a cost. We maintain our buses to high standards. They're inspected every year. They pass inspections. I'm having to pull buses offline with 199,000 miles on them that still have 100,000 miles left in them. There are counties in the state of Tennessee that I spoke to this week that drive on dirt roads, and they are not capable of making that 200,000 miles, and I understand that. But it seems like that counties like Coffee with good roads, we're being punished, put in the same boat that everybody else is, that we're having to buy buses just because the state of Tennessee mandates us to do it by age or by mileage. And I feel like that the 20 years or 300,000 miles would give us a good return on our investment on the buses.
Commissioner, what is the life of a diesel engine on the average?
Well, the Cummins that come in, usually it goes about 400,000 miles before you do an overhaul on them.
And we have to stop at 200. Is that right?
Well, the law in the state of Tennessee is you can put as many miles on a bus as you want to up until the age of 15.
Mm-hmm.
And there are buses in the state of Tennessee that have 500,000 miles on them at 14 years old.
What about ours, though?
Our buses are at 15 years and they have 190,000 miles on them.
Okay.
And I'm carrying some of them over, but we lost one at the end of April this year. It had 199,976 miles on it. And I wasn't willing to drive it any further than that because it would put us
over the limit?
Yeah, if we went over and it was in an accident. So that bus is sitting on the lot, and it's a surplus bus. But by state law, it's 16 and a half years old, but it has reached the 200,000 mile limit, and you're caught.
Prior to that, was there a limit?
Prior to that, you had to get rid of them at 15 years.
Yeah, was there a mileage limit?
No, and there's still no mileage limit up until the 15 years.
Yes.
But after you carry them over the 15-year, the extended life policy that they have adopted, which is a good thing, but they all won't make it that way, you pay $750 to have the bus double inspected. They're inspected twice now.
Mm-hmm.
We pay the state of Tennessee, the Highway Patrol, $750 for them to look at the bus. Mm-hmm. He comes, he's in and out in a day, and they're double inspected. They're very rigorous, and I just think that this would be a good thing. It would save a lot of counties a lot of money.
What did you say about, was it Kentucky you was talking about the other day about the mileage?
The state of South Carolina, they can drive them until they don't pass inspection.
Okay.
There's no age limit to it. And the pool of used buses has really dried up. The state of Alabama used to subsidize their bus service up until the age of 10 years. So there was a huge market of used buses coming online, 11 years old. State of Alabama chose not to do that anymore, so they're in worse shape than we are. They don't have a funding mechanism for their buses, and there's no more used buses coming on to the market. And if they are, they're very expensive. It's not worth paying $75,000 for a bus with 100,000 miles on it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes. Do we have a copy of this resolution, or is it not available yet?
Yeah. Any other discussion? Question's been called. Let's vote, please. Okay, we're voting. We did. Ms. Frisbee, would you vote, please? And Commissioner Bryan, when you get a chance.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
I mean to vote yes, so I'm not sure.
Well, Mr. McFadden?
Says, but I want yes on this.
All the commissioners need to sign this.
Yes. Can we change? Okay. All right. So if when the vote comes up, if Commissioner Alford hit no, it is a yes. Okay. Is that right, Commissioner? It is a yes. Okay. All right. Let's see. We got everybody locked in. Let's have the count. Commissioner, I believe you done good. All right. Next item of business. Of course, before we do that, we'll make sure everybody signs this before we adjourn.
Mr. Chair, what about HWR meeting?
I'm sorry, what?
What about the HWR meeting?
Oh, okay. We had, we're supposed to call you back. It has to be Monday at 5 o'clock.
I thought we were going to discuss, just do better discussion after this meeting.
No, we can't because of the time. We had to call, and I apologize. I forgot to call you back. But anyway, it's Monday. What'd you say? Yeah, and she, did you send him a notice? Email him? Well, hey, Commissioner West, you do have a notice. She sent you a notice on it, on your email.
I haven't been home all day.
Okay. All right. Sheriff, how close are you getting everybody? Have you got this side signed yet? Oh, okay, so we're going to wait a minute about the next item then. Mr. Castile, would you like to come up and fill in while we're
Yes, I think I can fill in. Mr. Mayor, staff, members of the County Commission, I just wanted to thank you for the ability to have been able to work together with you. I will no longer address you as the Director of Schools. This will be my last time to do that. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate the support that you've shown our school system and the abilities that we have in being able to work together. I want to thank you for the projects and the programs that you've supported through the years, and just wanted to have that opportunity to give you the credit for a lot of that. I appreciate your concern that you've shown in education, and I know that we haven't always agreed, but that's part of the normal procedure of politics and progress, and that's what we call progress, and that's what it will always be referred as. So I've learned to accept the things that I can't change and to take advantage of those things that I could. I hope that you will show the new director the same respect and the integrity that you've given me. Dr. McFall is here tonight in the audience, and I appreciate her professionalism and the ability that she has had to come and work through this transition. And I can definitely assure you that she is concerned about Coffee County students, and those that will be very dear to her heart. I know that many times you do a thankless job. I know that there's very few times that you get a pat on the back. But I respect what you do, and I appreciate you answering the call. And I simply have to give God the credit for the successes that we've had. and appreciate being able to serve him, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But thank you again for the opportunities that you've given me and our school systems, and God bless you all.
Mr. Castile, would you like to introduce her and bring her up to the podium and let her say a word or two?
This is Dr. McFall. She's from Jefferson County, and she will be your new director of Coffee County Schools.
Would you like to come to the podium and say a word or two?
Not sure that I would, but I'll be happy to.
I bet you're not bashful.
I'm not shy. Thank you, first of all, to Mr. Castile for that very warm welcome and for introducing me to you. And it's been a pleasure to hear your issues. Coming from East Tennessee, they are not so different. You will be happy to know. It's not anything extraordinary that we're all in a crisis situation when it comes to funding. So I want to say to the board and to Mr. Castile and to the community that I'm very excited to be here. Looking forward to moving the school system forward and working together to build schools and get us where we need to be with technology and student achievement. So happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did Kenny tell her that he had blonde hair when he became director?
I don't know. Did you tell her that, Kenny?
I told her I had black hair.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're down to statements and announcements. Has any commissioner got an announcement or statement? All right, and how about the public?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Frances Arthur. I'm the director of the Coffee County 912 project. And I've been doing a little bit of research this week I thought that you all might be interested in learning about. This comes from the Connected Tennessee statement that was issued initially in 2007, and they did another report as recently as 2010. This concerns internet access in Tennessee, and I looked up the statement for Coffee County to find out exactly where we stand on internet service and communication and access for the public to find out about what is going on in our government and local government issues. According to this report, in 2007, 71% of Coffee County citizens had a computer at home. That number increased to 74% in their 2010 report. 61% had access to the internet in 2007. That number obviously has increased by 2010. In the 2010 report, it said that 82% of people communicated with family and friends via the internet. Between 2007 and 2010, the number jumped from 13% to 40% of people who communicated with members of the Tennessee General Assembly on matters of government issues. Concerning local government issues, that number is only 9 to 21%. That number intrigues me. Why is it that we cannot contact you via the internet? Why is it we choose not to? Does that perplex you? It perplexes me. And yet, on this 2010 report, it says that 50% of users search for information about government services and policies via the internet. I'll keep going. Quote, all entities within the government sector understand that technology is important to conduct the government business more effectively. With the cost of gasoline increasing and the demand of citizens for more convenience and cost savings, it is expected that more uses of online interactive services will increase. This is from the 2007 report. They scored you a 3 out of a 0 to 5 scale on applications and services in this 2007 report, and it said some e-government applications are available, such as simple building permit applications, email listservs, and some downloadable forms. What is not available via your county website is access to agendas to this meeting and minutes to this meeting. The people that left this room in a flood 30 minutes ago will have no idea what happened in this meeting via your website. And that is sad, because they should be able to have access to that, but those minutes are not currently posted, and the agenda to the next meeting is usually not posted.
We have somebody to address that. We have an IT.
Okay, when we call the IT person, they tell us that they don't have permission to publish.
Okay, let's see what he says.
We've been posting the YouTube videos now of this meeting for, I believe, since January.
And some of them have been taken down,
No?
because we can't find them.
Well, can you help her find them
Yes.
after this meeting?
More than
Can you
happy.
show
I'd
her?
love to.
Let him show you then. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
But I agree. I'm not sure in this day of technology, not to get our minutes or agenda posted timely. I mean, that's just posting a Word file quickly to a space on our website. That should be a pretty quick thing to do.
what's the time that you usually, after the meeting, how long does it take you before you got it up?
I'm generally within 24 to 48 hours.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Bricken? Did you hear what the man said? Tell him again, he didn't hear you.
Rush, I'm generally have the movie up on YouTube between 24 and 48 hours.
I understand that, but I'm still saying that getting our agenda posted out there and getting the minutes should be also, I mean, a written document, not just so one, shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, Commissioner West?
Mr. Chairman, there's also, well, we haven't done all the pictures. Under Mr. Norton's name is Mr. Hogan's telephone number. Now, how
What now?
embarrassing is that? We should have done that long time, 2 years ago. Whatever.
But it's not Ken that does it. But now he has to send it. So it's the people we deal with? Okay, we got to address that.
Just from the time I've been here, folks, I get meeting announcements, but I don't get agendas for any committee I sit on. We get meeting announcements. Sure would like to have an agenda and know what we're going to talk about.
Okay,
we're going to do those. I mean, it goes to what Russ said. We ought to have a place we can get that information on everything. What happened, and then the minutes of whatever the meeting were, so people can find them. And I don't know how long you leave them up there. They get stale after about 3 months or something, but they ought to be available. And I know Roxanne keeps them forever, because if I need something, she's found anything I wanted.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. All right. Oh, okay. Get on up here.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to back her up.
Okay.
Putting videos out in YouTube land doesn't put them on the government website.
Yeah.
They're not on the government website. I'll go with you back and we'll check it.
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
They're out in YouTube land. Who knows to look for County Gov Guy on YouTube?
Okay.
The agenda was put on Thursday. The calendar for this meeting was put in on Thursday. There's a spot to click for public hearing, and it shows nothing for tonight. Thank
Okay.
you.
We're going to have to work on some of that. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.